We begin this story with Ava, a beautiful woman who is being a bit reckless while putting on makeup as she drives. She seems to be in a hurry to get somewhere and tries to look as good as possible. A few minutes later, we discover why she is in such a rush. Ava arrives at the airport, where she picks up Peter Hamilton, an important client whom she couldn't keep waiting. When the car starts, we realize that both of them are being followed by a girl on a motorcycle. On the road, Peter boasts about himself while having some alcohol brought from the plane, all in an attempt to flirt with Ava, whom he considers very beautiful. Shortly after, Ava plays along by parking the car away from the road and moving to the back seat, where Peter is convinced it's his lucky day, while the girl on the motorcycle listens to everything with her device at a safe distance. Ava converses with Peter in the back seat, where the flirtatious atmosphere dissipates when the protagonist pulls out a gun and points it at Peter, who thinks it's all a joke. Nevertheless, he tries to call the authorities at a moment when a bullet pierces his hand and destroys the phone. Like any scared man, Peter tries to use his money to get out of this situation, but Ava is a professional and has already been paid to do the job. So Peter receives another shot that sends him to the other world. After informing him that the job has been completed, Ava removes her disguise and boards a flight back home. While the woman checks into a hotel, we meet Lion, who is also an expert assassin and belongs to the same agency as Ava. He has been contacted to watch over her since her psychological responses after the job showed worrying signs. Not far from there, the protagonist decides to disconnect a bit and goes to a bar to listen to some live music. After the show, she meets the singer, who turns out to be her sister Judy, who is upset because Ava disappeared after their father's death, so Judy had to organize everything alone. The sisters have a heated argument, where we discover that Ava had been out of contact with her family for 8 years, all after her husband and 2 children died in a traffic accident caused by a drunk driver. After this, Ava completely isolated herself and joined the army, where she became part of a Delta force with honorable mentions, until she was discharged for insubordination and became an alcoholic. Although Judy is happy that Ava has overcome her alcoholism, she couldn't be more upset with her for abandoning her family. So, she tells her that she should be present now that their mother has had a heart attack. The next morning, we discover why Ava distanced herself from her mother, Bobby, who turns out to be a complete shrew who criticizes every small aspect of her daughter's lives, and is not happy with any of the decisions they have made throughout their lives. A few days later, Ava is on the other side of the world, where she's been assigned a new target, a Saudi Arabian army general, whom she subtly assassinates by injecting a large dose of heroin into the middle of his toe. However, this will take about 20 minutes to work, and the plan is disrupted when guards break down the door, forcing Ava to act differently by slashing his neck before facing the guards. After killing more guards than she can count, Ava takes some of the blood spilled by the general to apply it to her face to pass herself off as a victim and reach the lobby, where she steals the confusion grenades from the guard and uses them to create a distraction that allows her to escape. With another job successfully completed, Ava travels to Normandy, where she meets Duke, who is her agency contact, to whom she complains about the mistake that caused the guards to discover her. Duke tries to explain that it was only an error made by the agency, but Ava is sure that the agency doesn't make mistakes and believes they tried to make her die during the mission. However, it's Duke who is upset, as he has listened to the recordings of the jobs, so he scolds her for asking the targets what they did to deserve to die, clarifying that she is there to eliminate them, not to be their psychiatrist or their friend. Back in Boston, Ava goes to the hospital to see how her mother is recovering, at which moment she runs into Michael, who is now her sister's boyfriend, creating latent discomfort as he and Ava have a past. In Virginia, Duke meets with a member of the agency named Simon, who is furious about what Ava has been doing in the last few months. Talking with the targets is a grave mistake. Her job is to kill them and save herself from questions, not to guide them in their journey to the afterlife while asking them why they were sent to be killed. While Duke intervenes for Ava and gets her some time to rest, to fix her mind and stop acting as a friend to the targets. When Duke withdraws, we discover that it was Simon who betrayed her in Saudi Arabia, hoping that she would die on the mission to avoid problems. By killing him himself, Camille, Simon's daughter, is the girl on the motorcycle, and it was because of her that he found out that Ava was talking with the final targets before her job. Upon returning with Ava, the status of Alan, who has been following her in silence, has been updated, and he has received a direct order to kill her immediately. Having come out victorious from the confrontation, she reunites with Duke to ask him directly if the agency has turned against her and wants to eliminate her. Nevertheless, he tells her that Simon agreed to give her some free time, so if that's the case, then both are in danger. That night, Judy shows up in her room to shout at her, revealing that she had a fight with Michael and believes that he hasn't forgotten Ava yet, and her presence has caused problems in their relationship. Also, it's midnight, and Michael hasn't returned home yet. Judy confesses that he is a compulsive gambler, and the last time he was stressed, he ended up in a casino where he was beaten up for his debts. The next morning, Ava knows exactly where to find Michael, in an underground casino owned by Tony, who refuses to let him go since he owes him a lot of money. After giving all the security guards a beating and putting a knife to Tony's neck, Ava manages to get Michael out of that situation, but Tony threatens to kill him later if he doesn't pay his debt. Back at the hotel, being with Michael and talking about the past has caused havoc in Ava's mind, which, for a second, nearly breaks her 8-year sobriety. Meanwhile, Duke, who has discovered Simon's plans, goes to visit him to try to make him see reason and stay away from Ava. When Simon refuses, Duke threatens him with a gun, but Camille appears from the back and snatches it from him. A second before Camille's younger daughter, Simon's youngest child, appears and runs into Duke's arms, forcing him to drop the gun. Duke takes advantage of the situation and uses the little girl to gain some valuable seconds. When they are taken away, he makes his move and disarms Camille. The fight with Simon is intense, and despite his superior strength, Duke's experience prevails. Meanwhile, Ava is making peace with her mother, to whom she confesses why she wasn't present after her father's death. He was a monster who almost abused her, and that's why she ran away. Back with Simon, he has recorded a video while disposing of Duke's body in a lake to send it to Ava, as a clear sign that he is still there. When the protagonist receives the video, her heart fills with rage at seeing how her mentor of so many years was discarded in a lake as something without value. Shortly after, she goes to Michael to tell him that they will run together in the name of their love. However, he tells her that it's too late for that. Judy is pregnant, and now his love belongs to her. After that, she goes to Tony, and after killing several of his guards, she hands him a backpack with the money Michael owed him. She then confesses that she has killed 41 people for money, and that if he doesn't want to be next, he must stay away from her family. Back at the hotel, Ava succumbs to the need to drink alcohol and takes several bottles from the minibar while fantasizing about blowing her head off and ending her suffering once and for all. Despite this, the sound of the door interrupts her, and we see Simon enter the room, pulling a gun. Before he realizes it, bullets start flying all over the room, and Ava tells him that if he had arrived 1 minute later, he would have saved himself from the bullets. Simon, who boasts about his skills, says that it would have been a pity since he likes killing his targets cruelly, and he also comments that Duke would have been very disappointed to see how she left the minibar empty. At this point, Ava becomes furious and surprises him from behind, unleashing a fistfight where both fight in the apartment, destroying everything in their path until they reach a point where neither can continue. It is here that Ava takes advantage of the moment to mock Simon, who wants to kill her for talking to the targets, yet since he entered the apartment, he hasn't stopped babbling. Simon offers her a truce. Officially, he is no longer an active agent, and she can go her way and leave all this behind. At this point, the fire alarm is activated, and they have no choice but to leave the hotel before the authorities arrive. For Ava, this matter is much more personal because of Duke's death, so she ends up following Simon through the streets. When he realizes her presence, he starts to flee. Shortly after, he ends up jumping onto a pile of sand from a considerable height, causing Ava to injure her leg and slow down until she manages to shoot through his knee with a bullet. Before he dies, Simon clarifies that now the entire agency will be after her and her family. With this in mind, Ava goes to her sister and explains the situation, giving her a lot of money and instructions to leave the country along with their mother and Michael. They give her a letter that was left there by Duke before dying. In it, he says how proud he is of her. But now that she has an intense battle against the agency, she will need all the help she can get. As Ava heads to the place indicated in Duke's letter, we see that Camille is following her silently, wanting to avenge her father's death, or perhaps suffer the same fate as him by interfering in Ava's revenge campaign.
If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Movie Story for more amazing movie recaps. Let us know in the comments which movie you'd like us to cover next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.